What's up guys, Gray here. Welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at one of the most sleeper weapons in Destiny 2 right now. As I'm sure you are aware, Season of the Lost is sort of being coined as Season of the Fusion Rifles, due to not only a huge rework of all the fusion rifle archetypes, but also the incredibly powerful mods that are in the seasonal artifact this season. This has caused some huge shifts in the PvE meta, and it certainly has made all of us take a second glance at a lot of fusion rifles we have laying around in the vault. And that's where one of my fellow clanmates stumbled upon this gem here, the Cartesian Coordinate. This is a rapid fire frame fusion rifle, but what makes it unique is the fact that it can roll with Vorpal Weapon in the 4th column. Vorpal Weapon is a perk that gives you 15% extra damage at all times against bosses. This is the only rapid fire frame fusion in the game that can roll with Vorpal Weapon. Now this is interesting because for a while now, one of the most viable and accessible DPS methods for Vault of Glass involves your entire fire team using a rapid fire frame fusion, Null Composure. Null Composure is a ritual weapon, meaning it has multiple perk options in its 3rd and 4th columns. In the 4th column, Null Composure has the option of either Reservoir Burst or High Impact Reserves. High Impact Reserves is great because it really does end up tacking on a ton of extra damage as you get lower into your magazine, which is perfect for boss DPS. But knowing that there is another weapon in the same archetype that can roll with Vorpal Weapon, it could be capable of doing more damage than the Null Composure that we have all gotten used to. So my clan and I dived into Vault of Glass so that we could find the answer. I'm going to share with you everything we found and break down all the numbers so that I can show you that Cartesian Coordinate is actually the best PvE DPS fusion rifle in the game. But real quick, if you guys enjoy the video, do me a favor and hit that like button down below, as it greatly helps out the video and helps more people find the video. And consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more Destiny content like this. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So there is a bit of nuance to this, and it will require a bit of an explanation here. Something I want to make clear is that there is a known exploit/bug with Null Composure. If you select Reservoir Burst on the weapon, it gives you a larger magazine size. It increases to 8 over the base 6. Now you can select Reservoir Burst, reload the weapon to get 8 in the mag, and then go back to your Null and swap the perk over to High Impact Reserves. This allows us to keep the 8 in the mag for one magazine and causes High Impact Reserves to scale like crazy on the last few rounds of the mag. Now you don't have to do this to make the weapon viable, but if your entire fire team takes advantage of it, it adds up to some serious extra damage. Or so we thought. The other caveat on top of this is that it's very likely for Bungie to view this as a bug, and this may eventually get fixed or patched out, causing the weapon to lose that secret edge that it has right now. Armed with that knowledge, the tests we ran reflected that information, and we tested a few different scenarios comparing the damage of the 8 mag bugged Composure versus the normal 6 mag version of the weapon, just for future proof's sake. For additional clarity, the Cartesian Coordinate has a base magazine size of 7, which is already a slight advantage over a base Null Composure. The first test we ran was to get a baseline of the weapons as they sit now, with Null Composure taking advantage of the 8 magazine glitch. The only buff being used in this particular example is Well of Radiance, which does provide 25% extra damage, but it will be used in every test here, so the numbers are still consistent. It is also necessary to survive against the boss, so it had to be used. The one magazine total damage of both weapons here as they sit in the current game are Null Composure at 305,000 damage and Cartesian Coordinate at 292,000 damage. But wait, I thought you said Cartesian was the better option. Why is Null Composure still doing more damage? That is due to the fact that High Impact Reserves is scaling super hard off that glitched 8-round magazine in Null Composure. Luckily, no boss in any raid dies off of simply one magazine. After you reload, you return back to the base 6-round magazine, and the damage falls off and High Impact doesn't scale as hard. It's very important to keep that in mind moving forward. Playing devil's advocate, we then also tested the base damage of a potentially fixed Null Composure, locked at the 6-round maximum. Also keep in mind, it is very easy to simply not take advantage of this small bug. Most LFG groups may not be doing this, and I guarantee you someone on your fire team forgot to do the glitch as well. In this test, again only using Well of Radiance, we have the 6-round Null Composure with high impact reserves versus the Cartesian with its 7-round mag and Vorpal Weapon. The damage numbers change drastically. Null Composure comes in at just 240,000 damage, while Cartesian remains consistent at the exact same 292,000 damage. That's a 50,000 damage difference per magazine in these weapons' base forms. This lead will only extend as we start to add in more multiplicative buffs. So we did. Our third test involved the same setup weapon-wise, 6-round Null and 7-round Cartesian. The difference here is that now both of our Guardians are running high energy fire, which gives us an extra 20% weapon damage, and it is currently stacking with things like Well of Radiance. FYI, it didn't used to. We are now also using the Season 15 seasonal artifact mod, Particle Deconstruction. This mod makes it so all of our fusion rifles apply a massive debuff to the target that stacks up to 5 times, making them take 40% extra damage from fusion rifles. You can also stack a Hunter Tether on top of this, but with a caveat. The tether must be cast after Particle Deconstruction has been applied. This will cause the debuffs to stack. This reeks of buggy and glitchy, and I would assume Bungie will fix this. But in the meantime, we used it for the sake of science. So we then had a third fire team member drop their well so that we could both get orbs for high energy fire. And then that same teammate then applied 5 stacks of Particle Deconstruction for us, and I shot the tether immediately afterwards so we could do absolute max damage. This will get pointed out, so let's get ahead of it. Yes, I shot the boss with my tether. Yes, it dealt 11k damage. I noted this and corrected it in the future tests. However, it is negligible in the face of the actual damage numbers. With all of this in mind, Null Composure clocks in at 435,000 damage after we take into account my tether. Cartesian Coordinate clocks in at a whopping 532,000 damage. That is a difference of 100,000 damage in just one magazine. This is again with 6-round Null and 7-round Cartesian. To be thorough, we then ran that exact same setup involving all those buffs I previously explained, except this time I did the 8-round glitch for Null Composure just to see. Those numbers were a bit more interesting. Null Composure comes in at 607,000 damage, and Cartesian does come under at 539,000 damage. It is crazy how much this scaling on the 8-round mag of Null scales up, but the most important thing to remember is that after that first reload, Null is back to its base 6-round mag, where Cartesian is still rocking that 7-round mag with Vorpal Weapon the entire time. Now for our final test, guys, I promise. For our final test, we decided to burn through 2 entire magazines each, while using the 8 in the mag glitch on Null Composure, just to demonstrate how hard it actually falls off, and rightfully crowning Cartesian Coordinate as the legendary Rapid Fire Fusion DPS King. Remember, Well of Radiance, High Energy Fire, Particle Deconstruction, and Hunter Tether are all here. There are other buffs you could stack here. You could use Weapons of Light from a Titan bubble, and you can also try to take advantage of Focusing Lens if you want as well. This is just sort of a baseline and wanted to keep it consistent. These numbers flip the table. At 2 full magazines, we see Null Composure come in at 873,000 damage. We then see Cartesian pull way ahead at 951,000 damage. As you continue the fight and burn through multiple mags, this gap will only widen. Let's also not forget that Bungie could potentially fix the bug on Null, sealing its fate at 6 rounds in the magazine. If that were to happen, this wouldn't even be close. And there you have it. Cartesian is the most consistent and highest damage option amongst all legendary rapid fire fusion rifles. Sure, the Null Composure may be able to burst a little bit harder when using the bug, But in fights where you're going through multiple damage phases, the ease of use and consistency of damage from Cartesian will win out every single time. Thank you guys for joining me on this extremely nerdy journey as we tested to find the best fusion rifle DPS option in the game. This is great for Vault of Glass, so search your vault and see if you have one of these old dusty boys laying around. Even if you don't, it is easily farmable from one of the Splicer engrams that you can focus your Umbral engrams into, and all you need on it is Vorpal Weapon. If you get that, you are golden, my friends. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and if you found the video helpful or informative, leave a like below for me and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my future content. Thank you again for hanging out and making it this far into the video, and I will see you next time.